We're live. I'm just going to give it 5 seconds so I know where to clip it.
Okay.
Okay, welcome everybody to the second episode of Real Talk with Holistic Docs. And today we're going to be diving into the great equalizer. Anybody have any guesses what that is? That's right, it's stress. Heyo! So I am here today. I'm Dr. Carly Golightly in San Diego, California, and I am here today with my good friend, Holistic Dr. Hout. Dr.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So today we are going to be discussing a topic that a lot of people are talking about right now. And a lot of people are feeling it, even if they're not talking about it. And that is stress. So we talked a little bit before we got on the call here about some of the reasons why people are stressed out right now. Do you want to just go through some of the things that you've noticed clinically recently?
Yeah. So I have to say the number one thing that my clientele is worried about is money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not even that they can't come out of the house. It's that they don't want to do anything that requires them to spend money, because so many people, at least in New Jersey, are getting laid off because everything is at a standstill. So that's my number one thing that I'm seeing. Yeah. And then, of course, getting the disease, spreading it to others, not being able to do anything.
Yeah.
And losing your job and all that. So.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of really, it's like a perfect storm of all the things. Like, and the social isolation thing is very real. There's research that shows that the social isolation actually has similar effects in your brain and body as physical pain.
Yep.
Which is insane. So one of the things that I've seen a lot of now is, I have my anxiety patients who are now experiencing more physical pain because of the fact that they're socially isolated. Yeah. And, we're meant to be social beings. We're meant to be in community. We're meant to touch and hug and laugh and do all these things. And, now we can do that, but only with a very select few people. And sometimes when you're cooped up with a select few people, things get a little weird.
Oh, yeah.
Not always the most loving and kind situation. We're working on it. We're getting there. But yeah, and I've seen a lot of the same things that you mentioned too, like the worry about the money, the worry about the jobs, the worry about the future. Like we don't know,
right?
We don't know where any of this is headed. We don't know how long all of this shelter in place thing is going to be going on for. You mentioned earlier that it sounds like New Jersey is basically shutting down till June.
That's what a couple people were saying yesterday, and I kind of just did, because I was like, "What am I? How am I gonna live for 2 months?"
Yeah.
I have anxiety over this.
Yeah. Well, not here in California. We for sure everything is shut down all through April, which is that's 30 days from now, guys.
No, it's
a long time. That's a long time for me, especially for me as someone who likes to be outside and likes to be around people and just enjoys those pieces of life. I mean, I can't even go to the beach. That is.
And I can't. It's all closed.
Heartbreaking.
Canceled.
Heartbreaking right there. So, you are most likely experiencing some stress just like we are. And I just wanted to kind of touch on the finances and job part of things real quick, because there's some really cool resources that have been coming out lately from a source that I really trust, which is the Ramsey Solutions. Okay. If you guys, I don't know, are you familiar with Dave Ramsey?
I don't think so.
So he's someone who for basically the last 30 years has had like a radio show giving people financial advice and everything. Like he's actually quite good. But now he's got a whole huge company where people basically has a bunch of different personalities on there. They're all, finance, career experts and things like that. And they've really been stepping up their game to provide people with resources for finances and careers during this time. So I would highly recommend, if you're someone who is struggling with finances, struggling with budgeting, struggling with maybe you lost your job and you're not sure where to go look for a job, they actually have they made their flagship program, which is called Financial Peace University, which teaches you all about proper budgeting, preparing yourself for the future, saving, all that type of stuff. They've made that free, which is huge. That's like a $200 program and it's completely free. And the second thing that they've done is created a job board, because there are some industries that are literally falling apart, like all the restaurants and the bars and hairstylists and stuff like that. But then there are other industries that are booming right now. like the delivery services, and you see some things like construction taking off, and like medical and things like that. There are some places where people are needed. So this job board that they created, basically they ask you what your skills are, what you're good at, and try to connect you with an industry that's hiring. So I think that's super, super cool. I know. I thought that was really cool because there are so many people who are struggling in a very real way right now. And if that struggle is finances, then, I mean, treat the root cause. If you need to make money, then let's get you connected with a way to make money. Right?
Perfect. Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So moving along.
Yep.
What the heck is stress?
The heck is stress, man?
What the heck is it? What is that feeling when your heart's just pounding and you're just worried for no reason and it won't go away and your mind is racing? What is that? Tell me.
Those
what?
are your little hormones in your body being secreted. Okay, so if we're going to talk about stress, there's a kind of a couple different ways that we can talk about it. We can break it down into acute and chronic. I think that's kind of like the easiest way to think about it. So acute stress is when your body perceives some kind of stimulus that is either harmful or not pleasant. And so we like to think about the bear that's coming to chase you. So acutely, your pupils widen and you have to run away. So blood rushes to your muscles and your heart is pounding because it's trying to get blood all over the place. So that's caused by adrenaline, which is a hormone secreted from your adrenal glands, as well as cortisol. So that's acute. And then over however long it is that you're running from the bear, that stuff is still going on. And then once the threat goes away, that response should also go away and you should go back to normal. But the chronic part of this
and that is a big but, my friends.
Yes, right. So that this is where that is normal. The acute response to a stressor in our environment is normal, and it should happen because it keeps us alive. It has kept us alive through all these many years.
And if I pause you for a second there, I want to talk about that for a second because I think that so many people have this impression that any stress of any kind is bad.
Right.
And that's not true. That's not true. Stress is a very normal response. And physiologically, it can be helpful for situations where we need to run away or where we need to be a little extra motivated to do something. It's normal. It's supposed to be there. It should be there. So the goal of all this is not to get rid of all stress forever.
Yep.
Because that wouldn't be healthy either. You basically would just be a blob on the couch.
You die. You die without cortisol.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And those are real conditions where people don't have the adrenaline and they don't have cortisol and they die.
Yep.
So anyways, I just wanted to touch on that point because that's another kind of myth that goes around, is that you can be completely stress-free. And I don't think that is correct and not something that we should tell people that they can do and achieve because it's unrealistic.
Yeah, right. That's not what we're aiming for. We're aiming for modulating the stress response so that you don't end up in the second category, which we're about to talk about.
Which is?
Chronic stress. So chronic stress is when, for some reason or another, which we can get into if you want, your body is constantly on high alert, and it has been on high alert for many, many, many years. And so that ends up causing all kinds of HPA axis dysfunction, not just adrenal fatigue, but actual dysfunction in the glands and in your brain that causes you to just be a stressed out blob. Basically, you gain weight, insulin resistance happens, you could get high blood pressure, your brain stops working, as we were talking about before. So that's not a healthy state to be in, and that's for many different reasons. We can get into that if you want, but that's constantly having cortisol being released into your bloodstream for years.
So that's like the really kind of important difference between these two. Is so you have your acute stress response and you have your chronic stress response. Both have different neurohormones that are associated with them. So for acute, it's more norepinephrine, epinephrine, which is that like, holy crap, I need to like run away and I don't know, whatever. You guys know what that feels like. And the other is cortisol, which is the one that we hear a lot about. And I think a lot of people think of cortisol as the one that makes you get up and run, but that's not really the case.
Right.
Cortisol is slightly different. We heard an analogy lately. I don't know if you remember this from that lecture that we listened to, but they were talking about cortisol as being the annoying little brother that just
right.
Yes. So it just kind of like sticks around for a really long time after a stressor and has some of the effects that you talked about. But I think the most interesting thing that cortisol does is that it actually shuts down the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain that is responsible for decision making, for higher level thinking, for basically all the things that make us human beings versus animals that just respond, right? Just respond and react.
Exactly.
So if you're in this chronically stressed way all the time, the chances of you being able to actually respond to your environment in a healthy way, think through problems critically, and apply logic, they're really low. They're really low.
Brain fog.
Yeah, exactly. And then the other thing that happens too is dopamine gets depleted as well.
Right.
So dopamine is that neurotransmitter that helps us to basically it's the one that we associate with reward, right? But what it really is it's telling you dopamine is released in your brain whenever there's something good that you have either taken in or done, eaten, drank, whatever. Basically your brain is saying, oh, that's good for me. Let's remember this. Let's go back to it because this is going to be essential for survival. So when you're depleted in that, then you lack motivation, you lack drive, you basically become depressed. Depression is a very real thing and can be related to dopamine depletion, serotonin depletion, a whole bunch of different things. So anyways, that's kind of in a nutshell, physiology of stress. It's a complicated thing, but
it is. It's so interesting.
Yeah, but it is really, really interesting. So, do you want to just talk real quick about some of the things that we see pop up like clinically when people have chronic stress or chronic hypercortisolemia, as we might call it?
Okay, so I already mentioned the weight gain and the brain fog. So chronic cortisol kind of means like chronic inflammation, and that can mean something different for everybody. Because everybody has a different tendency towards what inflammation means for them. So that could mean infertility. That could mean problems with your menstrual cycle. That could mean GI distress, IBS. It could mean anxiety, which is huge. Depression, which you mentioned, which is a very direct kind of correlation there. Let's see what else. Insulin resistance. I already said that. Over time that can lead to diabetes.
The big ones are like the metabolic syndrome, so the diabetes and insulin resistance. Autoimmunity is another one. The GI disturbances is another big one. And then the other one is pain. Pain is another one that's related to chronic stress, which I find fascinating. So you can have people that their pain is more so related to stress than it is actually physical or structural things, which is which is crazy because so many people end up just going and thinking that their shoulder hurts and that's it. But really what's going on is they've got 20 years of anxiety built up that's just manifesting itself.
That's right.
In the body.
That is so much more common than like physical injury causing pain. To a joint or something. There was a talk on this a few months ago. I learned so much about that.
It's funny. I listened to a talk on it yesterday, actually, because I thought it was. I personally am really interested in pain. You know that about me. I thought it's really fascinating, but not so much from the structural standpoint, but from the hormonal and the mental emotional standpoint. Pain.
It's huge.
For you readers out there, there's a book called The Body Keeps the Score, which if you're interested in any of this at all, I highly, highly recommend it. It's called The Body Keeps the Score and is written by some guy with a crazy like German or Dutch name that I don't know off the top of my head. I just remember the name of the book. So just look that up. It's there, I promise.
Oh man.
So anyways, I digress. So with all that being said, say you have someone come into your office and they're stressed to the max, whether they know it or not, but you're able to isolate from talking to them that what's really going on in their life is they've got chronic stress.
Yeah.
What are your top 3 tips that you would tell someone?
Okay. So people have chronic stress for so many different reasons. So I think it's really important to figure out what that cause is, whether it's childhood trauma, go see a therapist. If it's, an environmental situation that's maybe causing you stress, like your job sucks or your apartment is horrible, you don't like where you're living, move. Get out of those things. You don't need to be there. You don't need to suffer. Somebody else will take care of that.
Yeah.
If it's a bad relationship, oh my gosh, that can absolutely cause chronic stress. Get out of it. No one is going to hold you down and make you stay with a person that's causing you torment, basically. So treat the root cause of it. Change your behaviors. Change your location. The next thing is sleep. Please sleep at least 8 hours a night. And if you're stressed chronically, make it more like 9.5 or 10. Sleep a lot, because your body repairs itself during that time. And you need 5 hours of sleep. I hear this so often. I only need 5 or 6 hours of sleep. No, you don't. Your brain is tricking you. You actually need at least 8
You're in
hours.
survival mode.
Right.
That's
and your
what's
brain,
happening.
Exactly. Your brain is telling you that this is fine because it's trying to just get you through the day.
Exactly.
Okay, so there's that. And then the last thing was, oh man, I forgot. Oh, yes. Right. So take some time to yourself, whether that means meditate, whether that means paint or draw or do some kind of art, whether that means just go for a walk by yourself in the woods, whether that means build something. Some people really like construction work as their quality time for themselves.
Yeah.
Take that time to yourself to just detach from everyone and everything.
Yeah.
And relax.
Yeah.
So
I think that's so important, the quiet time thing, because we're really, I don't know what it is about being human, but there is something in us that really wants to just work or be like active all the time. And I actually see this a lot in people with stress, where they think that their way of relaxing is like watching TV or playing on the phone or something like that. And guys, that's not relaxing.
No.
That is still a form of stimulating your central nervous system, and it actually is considered avoidance. You're avoiding quiet time. You're avoiding your central nervous system being down low enough that you might actually think about some of the things that you haven't dealt with.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
So if you find yourself filling your quiet time with watching TV, with playing on the phone, things like that, you might want to consider that there's something that you're ignoring.
Yep.
And you need to, in that case, that's where you really, really need to start focusing on the quiet time, even if it's just 5 minutes, because 5 minutes might be plenty. And like you said, it can be, quiet time can be any number of things. It can be meditation on the more extreme form. It can be going for a walk without a podcast.
Right. Nothing.
A quiet walk. Yeah. Right. Be doing something. Some people find like chopping wood very meditative, or whatever, just find something that you like, that you enjoy, that you can stick to. And that's an important piece of it. It doesn't really matter what the activity is, just as long as it's quiet and you enjoy it.
The end.
That's it. The end. That's all that matters.
Okay. What about
my kind of on that note, one of the things that I tell people to do is avoid overstimulation.
Yeah.
So like I was just talking about, if you're constantly on the phone or watching TV, your central nervous system is up, up, up. Yeah. And I think we don't realize that we spend most of our days in this sort of place of central nervous system overstimulation. Yeah. Most of the things that we do stimulate our central nervous system. Yeah. So bright lights, the fluorescent lights that we're probably all stuck under now because we're not really going outside that much. Computer screens, which we're all stuck in front of now because everything is through Zoom or some kind of face-to-face thing through the computer. Loud noises. So video games and things like that. I know a lot of people who play video games and they crank the volume up, and I mean, I have to think that's part of the reason why people get so attached to them, is because it stimulates their nervous system so much. It gets so ramped up and it's an adrenaline rush. Scary movies.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people who love scary movies for
Nope.
the same reasons, And what it does is it jacks up your adrenaline.
Yeah.
And again, not a great way to go through life, especially if you're someone who's already dealing with chronic stress.
Right.
So avoiding those types of things. Also toxic relationships, I would put in that too, because if you have some certain relationships that you know are going to be stressful, and you're starting to see some physiologic like disease manifestations from stress, definitely avoid those, or at least minimize them. Sometimes you can't completely avoid those types of relationships, but you can minimize them.
True.
The other thing, so number 2 for me, would be to really focus on your diet.
Yeah.
So all of these hormones and neurotransmitters that we talked about, they're made from these little building blocks that come from your diet.
Yep.
So if your diet is lacking in micronutrients, amino acids, vitamins, minerals, you're not going to have the nutrients or the neurotransmitters, and the hormones that you need to keep your brain and your body balanced.
Yep.
And your stress response can then go all out of whack, and it can worsen an already out of whack or an imbalanced stress response. So just the most basic diet that I tell people to do is whole natural foods. If it didn't come out of the ground or off the animal directly, don't eat it.
Yep.
So that means shopping the perimeter of your grocery store, or ordering from Amazon, I guess, right now. I don't know. You're probably going to have to make sure you order refrigerated stuff from Amazon. But that's a very real thing that's happening right now, is because people are stocking up on like canned foods and things like that, and frozen stuff. I mean, frozen can be okay. Like if you've got nothing better, I would definitely prefer frozen over canned.
Yeah.
But there really is no substitute for fresh food. There really isn't. Yep. So maximizing what you can get out of that fresh food category is so huge. Yep. And lastly, work with someone. I mean, don't be afraid if you're feeling stressed and anxious and you're worried about how this is going to affect your life. Talk to someone about it, whether that be a therapist, like you mentioned, or a holistic health practitioner, like a naturopathic doctor, a functional medicine doctor. Like, just work with someone, because one of the things that we do is we can actually give you tests that tell us exactly where in your stress hormone metabolism things are off, and we can give you targeted supplements, nutrients, vitamins, herbs that can actually help to balance those rhythms again. And for people who are dealing with this and have been dealing with this as a long time, I mean, I've seen personally like reduced pain, reduced anxiety, better sleep, better relationships. Like, it really can make a huge world of difference. But that doesn't happen if you don't work with someone on it.
Right.
So that would be my third tip for everyone.
Dr. Google is not the best.
And please don't Dr. Google. Please.
It doesn't know what it's
about. One of our classmates recently, she posted a picture of herself. Actually, she was a year ahead of us. She posted a picture of a mug that someone gave her that said, "Don't confuse your Google search with my medical degree."
Yes, I think I've seen that.
That was Dr. Carissa Walton, who is the mobile health doc on Instagram. Yes. She's out in Prescott, Arizona. Look her up. If you're in Prescott, Arizona, look her up. She's awesome. But yeah, for real though, like just talk to someone who knows what they're talking about. Yeah. Don't go to Google. Don't think that you can piece all this together yourself, or that you have to piece all this together yourself. Yeah. And this is why people like you and me got into this, is because we want to help people. We want to help you get to your goals. We want to help you reduce stress. We want your life to be as healthy and productive and long as you want it to be.
Yep.
And sure, you could do that by piecing together Google searches and diving into the research, or you can just work with someone who already knows how to do it.
We've already done all the work, so.
Exactly.
Yep.
So with all that being said, I'm actually going to be releasing soon an email series of the 4 pillars for stress-less living. So decrease stress, going through basically 4 different areas of your life that you should be addressing, and with really, really detailed tips on how to do so. So if that's something you're interested in, yeah, you saw it already. You know,
saw it. It's great.
It's detailed. And I added more to it too since you last saw it. So yeah, it's really detailed. Anyway, so that will be available on my Instagram at Holistic Fit Doc. You can also find me on Facebook at Holistic Fit Doc. And then my website is drgolightlynd.com. And you can find Dr. Hout at
holisticdrhoot.com and Holistic Dr. Hout on Instagram and Facebook. So it's the same. Just that's it. And what am I doing? I am stuck either at home or in my office. I'm taking patients virtually, and that's it. Send me some chocolate. If anybody's got good 100% chocolate, send it my way.
What, is Trader Joe's out?
What's that?
Is Trader Joe's out?
I have not gone to Trader Joe's because I refuse to stand in line for however long it takes, because they're only letting 10 people in at a time, I think. Yeah.
Dang.
So no.
Yeah, see, that's how much I've ventured out into the world lately.
Okay. Yeah.
I have no idea.
No.
All right. Well, thanks, everyone. We're glad you joined us today for our second episode of Real Talk. And as always, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. We're happy to help you. All right.
Sure are.
See you next time.
See ya.